What's up? All right, welcome back. Section 7.3-ish. We are going to start talking about chemical digestion and the alimentary canal. But first, I wanted us to understand when we're dealing with food, 5 very, very, very important terms that you need to make sure you have written down in your notes and that you understand. The first, ingestion. That's taking in food through our mouth, which is how we eat, right? So the first point of contact for any nutrients for us is ingestion through the mouth. Digestion, breaking down of large insoluble food molecules into small water-soluble molecules through mechanical and chemical digestion. So it's really where we're honing in today. So just make sure you understand digestion is both mechanical and chemical. Today we're looking at mostly chemical. Absorption. Absorption is where that moving digested food moves across the wall of the intestine into the bloodstream and the lymph tissue so it can be transported around the body. So absorption is our third one. Then we have assimilation. Assimilation is the movement of digested food molecules into the cells where they're then used and then become part of the cell. So once you eat the food, you digest the food, you're going to absorb it into your bloodstream and your lymph tissue. And then all of those nutrients, the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, all your vitamins, all of those things then get assimilated all throughout the body into your cells, your billions and billions of cells all throughout your body to become part of those and sustain life. And then finally, egestion. Egestion is where we pass out the undigested food in the form of feces through the anus. Greatest part to talk about in this unit. Know you love it. All right, make sure you get those definitions down. Let's go ahead and look at our alimentary canal, which is the digestive tract. But remember, we're in the Cambridge curriculum, so sometimes our terminology is a little different. So for the alimentary canal, the first portion of this starts with the mouth, your oral cavity. Your mouth has a tongue. Most of y'all should know that. And then we have something called salivary glands. That's very important for the chemical digestion function of the mouth. So your mouth can chew with your teeth. That's mechanical digestion. And then your saliva mixes with that food that you're eating, also known once you start chewing it up as the bolus. So once that saliva mixes with the food, we call it the bolus. And the saliva actually has amylase enzyme, which we'll learn about in the next video. It's going to start to break down that food. You're going to swallow it. The process of which the food gets squeezed down the pharynx, esophagus, into the stomach is called peristalsis. Make sure you write that definition down in your notes today. So we move from the pharynx to the esophagus, down into the stomach. Now, your stomach is similar to the mouth in that it performs both mechanical and chemical digestion. So your stomach can churn and mix the food around. You've probably heard your stomach rumbling. That's from those muscle movements, churning. And then it's going to mix acid and a few different enzymes together to go ahead and start breaking down that food in the form of chemical digestion. Once food leaves the stomach, it's going to enter into the small intestine. The small intestine can be divided into 3 parts: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. My kids have always loved to say the word jejunum. It's kind of fun. You should just do it right now. Jejunum. Okay, that's the small intestine. From the small intestine, continuing peristalsis, that broken down digested food will then start to move into the large intestine. Now, it's important to note from the small intestine, this is where we have the most absorption occurring, is in that small intestine. And then in the large intestine, you're going to have water being absorbed because ultimately water is absorbed. We have whatever is that roughage, the material that we did not digest, the material that we've got to egest and get rid of, that's going to ultimately find its way down to the colon and the rectum. And then it will be egested out of the last portion of our digestive system, or the alimentary canal, which is the anus. Okay. Now, looking at a few other parts of the alimentary canal that are not actually on the track would be the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. Now, the liver does not produce enzymes. It produces something called bile. And what bile does is emulsify fats to break large fat molecules down into smaller ones. And this is a form of mechanical digestion as well. The gallbladder is simply a storage house, so to speak, for bile and bile salts, which can then be dumped into the small intestine. So you can live without a gallbladder. This cool girl doesn't have one because it's just like a storage center. And some of you might not even have one, but you can live without a gallbladder. It is possible. So you have your liver that produces the bile, the gallbladder that can just store it, and it dumps out here into the small intestine. Your pancreas is going to produce all 3 different types of digestive enzymes, which are amylase, protease, and lipase. So very important. It's the enzyme maker. And it also is going to secrete those into your small intestine. Important note, and we'll kind of get into this next video, it's going to help alkalize or tone down the acidity of the material coming out of the stomach. But I think that's it for this. Yeah, this is where we're going to stop for this one. We'll pick it back up with looking at what are those specific enzymes and how are they working throughout the alimentary canal in the next video. Go ahead, take your notes. We'll check back in with that CFU. Bye, guys.